Let's start with a shocking truth you've probably felt but never had a name for. You are likely eating one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory foods on the planet at the exact wrong moment, completely sabotaging its benefits and maybe even turning it against your body. This isn't about some exotic berry from the Amazon. It's a fruit sitting in your kitchen right now, probably looking perfectly innocent on your countertop or in your fruit bowl. We have been culturally programmed to eat this fruit first thing in the morning, blend it into our smoothies for a healthy start, and consider it a symbol of vitality. But what if that very habit is undermining your energy, fueling low-grade inflammation, and blocking your path to real gut health? The fruit we're talking about is the humble, ubiquitous, and profoundly misunderstood banana. No, before you dismiss this, thinking it's just another food fad, let me be clear, this isn't about bananas being bad. Far from it. This is about timing and ripeness turning a potential health superhero into a mediocre, sometimes problematic sidekick. The core of this issue lies in two critical, evolving components within the banana: its starch and its sugar. A green-tipped, slightly underripe banana is a fundamentally different biochemical entity compared to a fully spotted, sweet, ripe one. One acts almost like a prebiotic, resistant starch powerhouse feeding the good bacteria in your colon and strengthening your gut lining. The other is a rapid delivery system of fructose and sucrose that can spike your blood sugar, potentially feed less desirable gut bacteria, and trigger an inflammatory response if your gut isn't perfectly healthy. This is the central paradox. The very fruit recommended for athletes due to its potassium content could be the reason someone with a sensitive gut or metabolic issues feels bloated, sluggish, or foggy after eating it. The magic and the curse of the banana hinge on resistant starch in its unripe state. A significant portion of a banana's carbohydrates are classified as resistant starch. This type of starch, as the name implies, resists digestion in your small intestine. It doesn't break down into glucose and cause a significant insulin spike. Instead, it travels intact to your large intestine, where it becomes a feast for your beneficial gut microbiota, your probiotic bacteria. These bacteria ferment the resistant starch, producing short-chain fatty acids, SCFAs, as byproducts, most notably butyrate. Butyrate isn't just a fuel for your colon cells. It's a critical anti-inflammatory messenger. It helps strengthen the gut barrier, preventing leaky gut, and it systematically reduces inflammation throughout the body. Studies have linked higher butyrate production to lower risks of inflammatory bowel diseases, insulin resistance, and even certain cancers. So that green banana is essentially a targeted delivery system for gut nourishment and systemic anti-inflammatory compounds. It's a slow-burning, gut-healing food. However, as the banana ripens, a dramatic enzymatic transformation occurs. The plant's own enzymes break down that resistant starch into simple sugars, maltose, sucrose, and fructose. The starch structure collapses. A fully ripe, yellow banana with brown spots can contain less than 1% resistant starch, with the vast majority of its carbs now being these readily absorbable sugars. For a healthy individual with robust metabolic and gut health, this ripe banana is a fine, nutrient-dense source of quick energy and potassium. But for many, especially those with existing insulin sensitivity, small intestinal bacteria, overgrowth, SIBO, or fructose malabsorption. This sugar bomb can be problematic. The rapid fructose influx can overwhelm the liver, promote fat storage, and cause bloating and gas if not properly absorbed. The spike in blood glucose triggers an insulin response, which is inherently pro-inflammatory if repeated chronically. So you see, the banana didn't change, its internal chemical warfare did. You are not eating the same food. Choosing the stage of ripeness is like choosing a medication or a supplement. You must match the profile to your body's current needs. The goal of this discussion is not to vilify the banana, but to empower you with the knowledge that you have a potent, inexpensive anti-inflammatory tool at your disposal, but you must learn to wield it with precision. The first step is to look past the color and understand the silent battle between starch and sugar happening inside that peel. A battle that directly dictates whether you are crushing inflammation or accidentally inviting more of it into your daily life. If your mind is already reeling from this flip in perspective, hit the pause button for a second. I want you to go check your fruit bowl or your kitchen counter right now. Look at your bananas. What color are they? Are they green, yellow, or spotted? Just make a mental note. Then come back here and hit play, because in the next segment, we're going to dive into the exact science of how this resistance. Starch works as an anti-inflammatory agent on a cellular level, and why your gut bacteria are begging you to understand this. And while you're here, if you're finding this deep dive into everyday food science valuable, do us both a favor and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We are just scratching the surface of turning conventional nutrition wisdom on its head, and you won't want to miss what comes next. To truly grasp why the timing of your banana consumption is non-negotiable for combat inflammation, we need to descend into the microscopic universe of your gut. Picture your digestive tract not just as a tube processing food, but as the most sophisticated immune and endocrine organ in your body, and its health is directly governed by the trillions of bacterial residents, your gut microbiome. This ecosystem thrives or dies based on what you feed it. Think of resistant starch from that green-tipped banana as the premium, slow-releasing fertilizer for the most beneficial plants in your internal garden. When this starch arrives undigested in your colon, specific families of good bacteria like bifidobacteria, certain strains of lactobacillus, along with keystone species like Faecalibacterium prosnitzi, get to work. They possess the unique enzymatic tools to break down the complex starch chains that human enzymes cannot. This fermentation process is where the anti-inflammatory alchemy happens. The primary output, butyrate, is a short-chain fatty acid that serves as the primary energy source for the colonocytes, the cells lining your large intestine. A well-fueled colonocyte is a strong, healthy cell. It forms tight junctions with its neighbors, creating a robust barrier that prevents undigested food particles. Bacterial toxins like lipopolysaccharide or LPs and pathogens from leaking into your bloodstream. This phenomenon, often called leaky gut or intestinal permeability, is a primary driver of systemic chronic inflammation. When these foreign particles escape the gut, your immune system goes on high alert, launching an inflammatory attack that can manifest as joint pain, skin issues like eczema, brain fog, fatigue, and a host of autoimmune responses. Butyrate, by sealing this barrier, acts as the chief security guard, dramatically reducing the antigenic load on your immune system. That's anti-inflammatory action point number 1. But the role of butyrate and other SCFAs goes far beyond gut barrier integrity. These molecules are potent signaling compounds. They enter the bloodstream and circulate throughout your body. They can modulate the behavior of immune cells like macrophages and T cells, calming the inflammatory reactivity. Research published in journals like Nature Immunology and Gut has shown that SCFAs can promote the production of regulatory T cells, Tregs, which are essential for putting the brakes on excessive immune responses and preventing autoimmunity. They do this partly by inhibiting histone deacetylases, HDASX enzyme, that, when overactive, can keep inflammatory genes switched on. By turning these enzymes down, butyrate effectively turns down the volume on inflammation at a genetic level. Furthermore, this fermentation process creates a mildly acidic environment in the colon, which is inhospitable to pathogenic, inflammation-driving bacteria like certain strains of E. coli or Salmonella. It's a natural population control method. Now contrast this with the fate of a fully ripe sugary banana. In a compromised gut, which is more common than you think due to stress, antibiotics, or a standard Western diet, these simple sugars can be rapidly fermented higher up in the digestive tract, in the small intestine. This can exacerbate conditions like SIBO, leading to gas, bloating, and discomfort. The sugars that do make it to the colon can feed a different set of bacteria, ones that don't, and produce as many beneficial SCFAs and may instead produce more gas or other metabolites. For someone with fructose malabsorption, the unabsorbed fructose draws water into the intestine and ferments quickly, causing significant distress. So the data is clear. The anti-inflammatory superstar is not the banana per se, but the resistant starch within the unripe banana and the subsequent cascade of butyrate production it triggers. Eating a ripe banana might give you a quick potassium and energy boost, but you are completely missing out on this profound, systemic, gut-mediated anti-inflammatory therapy. You're consuming the calories without the cardinal benefit. This transforms the banana from a simple fruit into a functional, timing-dependent supplement. The question then becomes not just when, but also for whom is this strategy most critical. If you struggle with any inflammatory condition, from arthritis to metabolic syndrome, from IBS to skin disorders, paying attention to this simple swap could be a more impactful daily habit than any expensive superfood powder. You are strategically feeding the part of your biology designed to regulate inflammation from the inside out, making your internal environment fundamentally more resilient. This isn't anecdotal, it's a direct application of nutritional biochemistry and microbiome science, turning your everyday food choice into a deliberate act of healing. This deep dive into gut science is crucial because it moves us from hearsay to understanding. Now, I have a question for you in the comments below. What's one inflammatory symptom like joint stiffness, bloating, skin flare-ups, or constant fatigue that you've been dealing with and would love to manage better? Type it below with the word inflammation. Sharing this helps build a community and lets me know what to cover next. Also, if you're appreciating this level of detail, please give this video a thumbs up. It tells the YouTube algorithm that this is meaningful content, which helps me reach more people like you who are hungry for the truth behind their food. Now that we've established the potent anti-inflammatory mechanism of the unripe banana's resistant starch, let's get ruthlessly practical. How do you actually implement this? It's not as simple as just eating a green banana, because let's be honest, a hard, chalky, bitter green banana is not a pleasant culinary experience for most. The key is to target that sweet spot, literally and figuratively the stage where resistance starch is still high, but the fruit has developed enough sweetness to be palatable. Look for bananas that are mostly yellow but still have noticeable green tips and ridges and no brown spots. The skin should be firm. At this stage, you get an optimal blend of resistant starch and some natural sweetness. If you find the texture or slight bitterness off-putting, don't force it down plain. This is where culinary creativity turns science into sustainable habit. Slice it into thick coins and add it to a savory breakfast, not a sweet one. Think of it like a vegetable. Try it sautéed lightly in coconut oil with a sprinkle of cinnamon and sea salt, served alongside eggs and avocado. The fat and protein from the eggs and avocado will further slow any glycemic response and make for a supremely balanced anti-inflammatory meal. Another powerful strategy is to blend it into a smoothie, but with a critical caveat: paired correctly. Instead of a fruit-heavy smoothie, make it a green, protein and fat-based smoothie. Combine your semi-ripe banana with a big handful of spinach, a scoop of high-quality protein powder, like collagen or pea protein, a tablespoon of chia seeds or flax seeds, a quarter of an avocado for creaminess, and unsweetened almond milk. This combination ensures the resistant starch is delivered in a matrix of fiber, protein, and healthy fats, maximizing its gut-friendly anti-inflammatory potential and avoiding a sugar spike. You can also slice and freeze these semi-ripe bananas. Freezing does not significantly degrade resistant starch. Having frozen chunks ready means you can always create the ideal smoothie texture without reaching for an overripe banana. For those who are truly committed to maximizing the resistant starch content and have a specific health goal, like managing blood sugar or healing a leaky gut, even greener bananas can be utilized in cooked forms. In many tropical cuisines, green bananas are cooked as a starchy vegetable. You can boil or steam them and use them in savory dishes, similar to plantains. Green banana flour, made from dried, unripe green bananas, is a fantastic concentrated source of resistant starch and prebiotic fiber. You can add a tablespoon or two to your smoothies, yogurt, or baked goods, though heat can reduce some resistant starch. It retains a significant amount. This is a potent, low-sugar way to get a therapeutic dose. Now let's address the elephant in the room, the perfectly ripe, spotted banana. Is it forever banished? Not necessarily. Context is king. If you are an athlete about to engage in or recover from an intense workout, that ripe banana becomes an excellent source of quick digesting carbohydrates to replenish muscle glycogen. And its potassium helps with electrolyte balance. The inflammatory spike from the sugar is mitigated by the muscle's urgent demand for that glucose. The timing turns it from a potential problem into a targeted fuel. For the average sedentary person eating a ripe banana at their desk or as a mid-morning snack, however, the context is different. The sugar rush without subsequent muscular uptake is more likely to contribute to metabolic stress. So the rule of thumb, match the ripeness to your activity level. Green tip for daily anti-inflammatory, gut-nourishing meals. Fully ripe for targeted refueling around significant physical exertion. And what about those times you have a bunch of bananas ripening faster than you can eat them? Don't let them go to waste. Overripe bananas are perfect for baking. Think banana bread or pancakes. While the heat of baking will destroy most of the remaining resistant starch, it's a better use than composting, and it satisfies a sweet tooth in a more wholesome way than using refined sugar. The ultimate takeaway is to become the conscious conductor of your food's biochemical orchestra. You are no longer a passive consumer of a healthy banana. You are an active participant, choosing the ripeness that aligns with your physiological goals. For that moment, whether it's gut healing, inflammation reduction, or athletic performance, this level of intentionality is what separates generic healthy eating from truly personalized functional nutrition. I want to make this even easier for you. I've created a simple printable ripeness guide chart that you can stick on your fridge. It has pictures of bananas at different stages and clearly lists what each stage is best for. Maximum anti-inflammatory, best all around, post-workout fuel, and baking time. It's a free resource. To get it, just click the link in the description below and enter your email. I'll send it right over. No strings attached. It's my way of helping you immediately apply what you're learning today. You might be thinking, this is fascinating about bananas, but is this just an isolated case? The profound principle we're uncovering here, that the timing and state of our food can radically alter its biochemical effect on our bodies, extends far beyond the banana. This is a paradigm shift in how we view all plant foods. Let's explore this wider landscape to solidify the concept. Consider the common tomato. A raw, ripe tomato is rich in the antioxidant lycopene. However, when you cook that tomato into a sauce, you break down its cell walls, making the lycopene significantly more bioavailable to your body. The timing and preparation matter. Or take the humble potato. A cooked, then cooled potato develops a much higher amount of resistant starch than a potato eaten hot right after cooking. That cooling process allows the starches to retrograde, creating a structure that resists digestion, much like the starch in a green banana. Eating a potato salad with a healthy dressing could be a better source of gut nourishing, resistant starch than a steaming hot-baked potato, flipping conventional wisdom on its head. Even oats work similarly. Soaking oats overnight can reduce phytic acid, an anti-nutrient that can bind minerals and may alter the starch profile, making them gentler on digestion for some people. Then we have the world of grains and legumes. Sprouting or fermenting grains and beans turning wheat into sourdough or soy into tempeh dramatically changes their nutritional profile. It reduces lectins and phytates, predigests some of the starches and proteins, and creates new beneficial compounds. The fermented version is often far less inflammatory and more nutrient absorbable than its unprocessed counterpart. This isn't food woo, it's traditional food wisdom now backed by science. Our ancestors intuitively understood these principles through preservation necessity. We are now rediscovering them through the lens of biochemistry and microbiome research. So the banana is not a quirky exception. It is a perfect, accessible case study in this broader truth. It teaches us to ask new questions of our food. Not just is this food healthy, but in what form is this food healthiest for my current goal? And when is the optimal time for me to consume it? This moves you from a passive follower of generic nutrition rules to an empowered investigator of your own physiology. Applying this principle can help you troubleshoot other dietary perplexities. For instance, someone might eat a giant kale salad every day because it's healthy but struggle with bloating and thyroid issues. Understanding that raw kale contains goitrogens that can interfere with thyroid function when consumed in massive amounts, and that lightly cooking it mitigates this, is an application of the same principle. Timing and preparation change the food's impact. Another example is the consumption of high antioxidant berries. Having them with a source of fat, like full-fat yogurt or nuts, can enhance the absorption of their fat-soluble antioxidants. The context of the meal changes the nutritional outcome. This framework also helps debunk absolute food villain narratives. White rice isn't bad, but its impact on blood sugar is very different if you eat it alone versus as part of a balanced meal with protein, fiber, and fat. Or if you cool it after cooking to increase resistant starch. By understanding these dynamic properties, you liberate yourself from food fear and step into food mastery. The goal is to build a dietary pattern that is not just a collection of good foods, but a synergistic symphony of intentionally prepared and timed nutrients that work in concert to support your metabolism, your gut, and your immune system. The banana, with its clear visual cue of ripeness, is the ideal teacher for this lesson. Once you master this concept with one food, you begin to see your entire kitchen and your eating habits through a new, more sophisticated lens. Every meal becomes an opportunity to either fuel inflammation or fight it, based not on dramatic overhauls, but on these subtle, powerful tweaks informed by data and tradition alike. This idea of food states and timing is a game changer, and I've only scratched the surface here. If you want me to do a full, deep dive video on the resistant starch powerhouse foods beyond bananas, covering potatoes, rice, legumes, and specific preparation methods, let me know. Type resistant starch in the comments if that's a video you'd watch. Your input directly shapes the content I create for this community. We've journeyed from a shocking hook about a common mistake to the deep science of butyrate, through practical kitchen strategies, and finally to a new philosophy of eating. Now, let's synthesize this into a simple, actionable protocol you can start tomorrow and address the final critical component that makes all of this work sustainable: listening to your own body. The banana timing protocol is straightforward. Step 1, next time you're at the store, buy bananas that are still slightly green. Step 2, store them at room temperature and monitor their ripening. Step 3, consume them when they are yellow with green tips and no spots for daily anti-inflammatory and gut health benefits. Incorporate them into savory meals or balanced smoothies as discussed. Step 4, if you have a workout planned, allow a banana to ripen fully with spots and consume it within the window 30 minutes before or after your training. Step 5, for any that get too ripe, peel, slice, and freeze for future baking. That's the basic framework. But the true mastery comes from self-observation. This is where you move from following a rule to owning a principle. After you eat that semi-ripe banana with your breakfast, how do you feel 2 hours later? Are you satiated, energetic, and free of bloating? Or do you feel sluggish or gassy? Your body's feedback is the ultimate data point. Some individuals with very sensitive guts or severe SIBO might need to start with even smaller amounts of resistant starch, like a teaspoon of green banana flour, and work up slowly to avoid initial gas from bacterial fermentation, a sign they are feeding bacteria, which is the goal, but their system needs to adapt gradually. This is known as a Herxheimer-like or die-off reaction, where bad bacteria are being displaced. Starting low and slow is key. Others might find they thrive immediately. The point is to become a scientist of your own digestion. Furthermore, understand that the anti-inflammatory benefits of feeding your gut with resistant starch are cumulative and systemic. You won't necessarily feel a dramatic shift after one green-tipped banana, but over weeks and months of consistently nourishing your microbiome. This way, you are fundamentally altering your internal ecosystem. You are increasing the population of butyrate-producing bacteria, strengthening your gut lining and dialing down inflammatory pathways. The benefits may show up in subtle ways: more stable energy throughout the day, less joint stiffness in the morning, clearer skin, improved mood, and more regular digestion. These are the true markers of reduced systemic inflammation. It's a long-term investment, not a quick fix. Pairing this practice with other anti-inflammatory habits, managing stress, getting quality sleep, staying hydrated, and consuming a diversity of plants creates a powerful synergy. The banana becomes a cornerstone of a larger, intentional lifestyle. Finally, let's revisit our original provocative statement: you are like eating this powerful anti-inflammatory food at the wrong time. I hope it's now clear that this wasn't clickbait, but a doorway into a richer understanding of nutritional biochemistry. The banana is a metaphor for the nuanced, dynamic relationship we must cultivate with all our food. In a world of overly simplistic nutrition headlines, eat this. Not that this exploration reminds us that truth is often found in the details, in the color, the timing, the preparation, and the individual context. You now possess knowledge that can transform a mundane, everyday choice into a deliberate act of building health. You are equipped to use this simple, affordable, globally available fruit not just as a snack, but as a precision tool for wellness. The power was always in the fruit, the secret was always in the timing, and now that secret is yours. If this complete breakdown from problem to science to solution brought you value, my friend, you can support this channel in 3 tangible ways. First, subscribe if you haven't. It's the biggest compliment you can give. Second, hit the thumbs up button on this video so YouTube shares it with others seeking real answers. And most importantly, third, put this into practice. Go buy those green tip bananas tomorrow and experience the difference for yourself. Then come back and tell me your story in the comments. Did you notice a change in your digestion or energy? Your experiences inspire future content and help others. Thank you for investing your time in your health today. I'm here digging into the science to help you on your journey. Until next time, remember, knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is health. See you in the next